Good convo, fellas, man. But let's get into why we're here. At your neck. Um, there's been a long run, man, that you've had. Black. This is probably like the longest I've seen you take off in terms of a full length album since we've met. A couple years ago. As I just kind of caught on to your music, man. So, uh, before we begin, I like to for people to have some buy-in with the album. You know what I mean? Well, what's on here? So, y'all tell me what y'all want me to play, man, and we'll rock out to a verse of that.
I'd recommend the song Pimpin' because that really summarizes what the fuck we doing to the game.
Okay. Pimp Pen. That's track number 12 off of At Your Neck. So before we get into it, y'all listen up.
So, I was mostly into that titty shaking, man, you know what I'm saying, ass wiggling. So I took the bitch to the concrete. So I tripped me out because, you know what I'm saying, pimps was getting at them hoes, you know what I'm saying, stomping down on them hoes. And I'm like, well, hold on, man, I don't understand this part of the game, man. This shit's supposed to be about choice.
I'm finna fuck again. I'm finna fuck again. I'm finna fuck again. Yeah. Speak. Life is a bitch and karma's one, but trust the game is mine. I get cheap with it. I could pull up to McDonald's and make her order fries. No supersize, just bust skeet in the eyes, just swallow my kids' meal. It's real still, my 9 to 5 rise, don't shift with the kids' meal. The bad babies catch me outside, get left in a doctor field. I'm a star lord, or this ego for me to quill. Them beats to kill, you better be for real. The wretched think like be for real. I'm really real, that bitch come right out the box, it's a ready meal. My life a movie, at empty clips for them acting extras. When fired, you iced on a Saturday night on the last September. Packing extra, both arms used at once, I ain't ambidextrous. We talking lyric schemes, delivery, then you should mention me. I done mastered all styles, I'm the avatar.
That is Pimp Pen. That's Pimp Pen off of At Your Neck. Bardo and BLAQ CHIDORI, man. So let's talk about it, man. Let's talk about it, man. So what's the what did you do different this time around, man, before we get into like the nuances of the album?
Um, with this album, was what I did differently. With this album, because I've done few collabs. Um, I'm not gonna count what I'm working on currently. I'm gonna take from the time period that me and Bartle started this album because we actually started this album like around the time that I had just dropped White Melody's A side. You know what I'm saying? Like B side wasn't completed. I think I had maybe one song done for it thus far, whatever. And that around that time that I started, the only collabs I had under my belt was Black Numb's Entertainment, Black Blood and Tears with me, Patty, and Blood Blix, and the joint with Ayo Shamir, Journey in the Mystery Schools. You know, uh, so with this collab here, this was really the first album collab that I did a full collaborative work, one producer, which is not something I've done before. Because me myself, I like to provide a sonic palette. I like to be versatile. I like to dip in and out of, you know, different waves and shit like that. You know, with this album here, I kind of really just let our chemistry translate and reflect on the project as a whole. I remember when we were working on it, there was no just at first there was no cut and clear like theme or concept to it. We was just, kind of like I like let's build, we having conversations every day and shit like that. And then we're playing beats and showing beats and shit like that. And then just I'm letting the music talk to me and tell me I what direction should I go, how should I approach it, you know? And at the times that I was recording those and writing those, it's not even like I myself was thinking of anything directly. Both him and myself had many different influences, and I'm sure he could tell you the nuances of that. But we both had many different influences over that course and period of time of since we started it, and then to the time that we had finished the first version of the recordings and whatnot. We had many different influences to where by the time that we had all the songs and we was like, all right, let's listen to all that we got. It just happened that we had an album that just, you know, it was able to provide not only a sonic palette, but even a palette as far as the writing goes, where it's not fully just braggadocio. It's not just me barring you up. The whole album, we got very conscious shit. We got very heartfelt, introspective shit, very retrospective shit. You know, all sorts of shit to where it just it was pure alchemy for real. It was just pure alchemy to where you know the chemistry, you know the energetic bonds, the energy from our influences, all just translated to get the result that you hear today. And it was just amazing to see how it came out. It just naturally came out that way, and we didn't even technically, it's not like we intended for it to come out that way. That's just where it led us. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, Bardo. What do you think from your perspective? How did this thing come about for you, and from on the production side, what was your goal going into like doing a full length with Black?
So with this, I mean, it was a weird experience, but like in a good way. So I guess like the best way I can do is I really got to compare this with Hand Painted Realities, the album I did with Know It All, because both of them were made at the same time. But the difference between, I guess, both of them was that, like I said earlier, I've been making beats for 10 years now. So some of the beats on this album I had made a few years ago, and I'm a very, very stubborn person in the sense that I'm a very big fan of hip hop. And without sounding too cocky or arrogant, like I knew that these beats were good beats, and I wasn't willing to just give these beats to any artist and just to put music out. I would rather hold on to my instrumentals and never release them if I couldn't find the right artist for them, if that makes
Hey,
sense.
you on your snob
So,
shit? I feel you. I feel you. I love it. Yeah, I
so
love it.
yeah, so like I said, like I've had some of these beats for a really long time, and when it came to Black, when I met him, like we just kind of hit it off so well. And when I started playing him these beats, and I was playing him the old beats versus the new beats, these older beats, he was not only gravitating towards, but he was killing them. And for me, it almost felt like fate. I was like I finally found that artist that was meant to be on these beats. And it was just like this, again, this grateful feeling where it just kind of came together in a weird way, where this stuff I had already done, like it finally had a place and a home. Whereas then the stuff with Know It All, that was all made in real time. That was all made for him. I would send him a few beats, and after seeing what he was gravitating towards and what he was finding pockets on, I would then start making new beats specifically in the moment then for him. So for me, that's why I say it's a weird experience, right? Because some of most of the production on here I've been attached to for a very long time, but having Black on these tracks now and some of the other artists has almost breathed new life into them, and it just gives them a whole new life and a whole new perspective that I didn't have before. So that's why I kind of say like it was a weird way to go into this, but again, I couldn't be happier. And like he said, it is alchemy because these beats, just the way they came together and the way he flowed on them, the words he was saying, the pockets he found, it just really, really happy with how it came together.
Yeah. And one thing that I appreciate about this project, and this is probably something that it came up a long time ago. So when Black first came on here, I hit Black up on the side and I was like, yo, Black, I love what you doing, man. Cause he was like recording off his iPhone. We lost Black for a second. All right. So he was recording off his iPhone, doing everything, so I thought that was highly unique. And then I remember I made a comment. I was like, and I don't know if you remember Black. I was like, yo, if you could get that
I do.
engineer. Oh yeah, okay. So that's why I wanted to bring it up because it came full circle on this one, and it's a good thing, right? So I was like, yo, the engineering though, man, I know it's
Well,
there,
to touch
but
on that,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, well, to touch on that, it's a great point too. That's actually part of the reason why the album took so long was because we actually we redid the album a couple times after we got new equipment because that was very important to us. So getting the new equipment and then finding the right engineer. We actually went through 4 different people and talked a lot about who's gonna mix and master this because that was a conversation we had where this project needs, we knew the music that we had, like the quality of it, but the sound, the sonics of it, they need to match that quality. So that was an actual cognitive conversation that we had. So that's just hearing you mention that. That's why I don't mean to interject, but I wanted to build on that because that was a decision that we had, and that we knew that we needed to have that kind of sound and that right engineer for this project.
No, and full disclosure, I get it, and just to let you know, Black, how much of like I'm big on that because I think you need to be presented in the way that you should be, regardless of whether I love the music, hate the music. I think for anybody's music to have a real chance, and when you believe in it, you're going to do things like that. But when you're trying to get it out, and I've been young too before, at a certain point, I didn't give a fuck about engineering or none of that shit. I just wanted to get my music out there for people to see potential, and then down the line we'll work out how to get me sounding, great. But at the time when I was rapping years ago, that wasn't like big on my list. But as I've kind of gotten older, I know that people, they'll only take you serious but so much, you know what I'm saying, when everything isn't aligning, at least on the music, you know what I mean, especially when that's your main thing. So that's the conversation we had in the DM, and I'm not sure how you took it at the time, but I had to say it because I felt like, yo, you're dope, you know what I mean, and here's my 2 cents. You didn't ask me for it, but to get to the point of it, At Your Neck, I was laughing my ass off as soon as At Your Neck came off, and you mentioned it. I was like, yeah,
Yeah,
yes, yeah.
yeah.
Talk,
No,
talk,
because
crazy. I love that shit. Like, cause you
you
heard it
know,
and you were teachable. You
right.
listened and you made some adjustments and got out of whatever you may have felt at the time. Cause I'm sure I wasn't the only one that said that. Like, what do you say to
No,
that?
you weren't. You weren't. That was. I'm like to kind of brush on that, right? Because like I said, or like Bardo said too, this album, this album is damn near like a year and a half, 2 years old, almost type shit. We had started this like before I even put out White Melodies B side. It took so long because not only were we trying to be so meticulous about it, but of course, I had other projects that had dropped before that as well. I had there was White Melodies B side, there was features I did, there was Black Osteology with me and Scale, you know. Um and the thing about it was, and it's crazy too because, like even hand painted, you know what I'm saying? Hand painted was started around that same time frame too, and it was so crazy to see how hand painted turned out because I remember when hand painted realities was just a fucking conversation that Bardo and I would be having and shit. Because I was like before Bardo really started working with other niggas within the circle. Me and him was already working by the time, and me and him would have conversations about different curations for people like Know It All, people like Patty, and then to see him end up working with them, it was so amazing to see. And then to see how their album had turned out, we was like, I word, that's how Bardo likes to do his albums, and it's like that's how it's gonna be. Like we're putting it out and how they push it. We need to do the same shit, if not better, for our shit, and we need to be very meticulous with it. That consensus, it never like I never felt personally attacked by it because I perfectly understood it. At that point in time, as I said, 2020 was when I first got on the digital streaming platforms. I was 17 years old at that time, and during that time, I remember I didn't even think you could do that shit yourself. You know what I'm saying? By the time Ragnarok came around, my experience with making that EP Ragnarok was me really starting to understand the business, and I was working with, the consultant and great manager Larry Tan, Allen Iverson cousin, in the Iversons, they got mad family down here in Virginia too. So it was kind of ironic being able to work with him and shit like that. But he gave me mad game as far as the business side of things. And so I didn't really start getting too business savvy with the shit till about, mid-year of 2021 type shit, by the time I had dropped White Melodies A side. But I was still with White Melodies A side, the situation I was in, all I really had was just my phone. So I still had to work with what I had to work with. People that would come to me and be like, yeah, like I feel you, but it's just the engineering this, the engineering that. I feel like that's holding you back. I never took it personally because I was like, I can agree and I definitely understand it. Although it didn't bother me because I grew up listening to motherfuckers that was recording on 8 tracks to where the music was sounding like that. So it didn't bother me, and I knew that there was still people that was fucking with it. And I was like, yo, if there's this many people that still fuck with me because they think that lyrically and artistically I'm just that nice to where they can look past that shit, then they deserve an album like this to where me and Bardo need to put our heads together, pause, and be able to, um, give niggas something that sonically matches the quality that we're giving them artistically. So let's take the song At Your Neck. At the time I wrote that, I was considering that. I already envisioned that type of execution. That's why I had that line in there where I was like, I've been five, but the mix won't. Maybe now you can hear it. Is that the problem? We talking engineering over lyrics. Son is five, but I ain't get the shine, so
Let
you
me
can't get
stop you.
near
Let
him.
me stop you right there.
You know,
Let's let them hear that. Let's let them hear that.
play this shit. Play this shit.
Fuck your top five, I'm the greatest rapper alive. When you break it down, I'm the root of it. It's hardly surprise. It all started with blacks. Fuck if it's fat, cause nigga, I'm making it. Them same niggas saying they ill for real only make me sick. You stupid bitch, you all right waiting, I still drain you. My frequency great. You claim to make waves, but I ain't allow you. I've been humble and quiet as ever. Fucking now, you should fear it. I've been five, but the mix won't. Maybe now you can hear it. Is that the problem? Talking engineering over lyrics. Son is five, but I ain't get the shine, so you can't get near him. Niggas never fuck with you until someone say they should fuck with you. More scammers in my DMs, the friends were saying, what's up with you? But really, I ain't complaining. Honestly, I'm just saying the prince in this bitch.
That is At Your Neck. That's the title
The
track off
lead
the album.
single,
So I
yeah,
don't I
yeah,
don't want y'all to
that's the track, lead single, yeah.
yeah, I don't want y'all to if you haven't heard it yet and it's your first time, being introduced to BLAQ CHIDORI and BARTO, make sure if you want to hear the rest of that, go check out At Your Neck. You could buy it. We would all prefer that too as well, as a keepsake. Go
Yeah.
ahead and get that
It's on
digital
Bandcamp currently.
for sure. It's on Bandcamp right now.
Yeah, it's on Bandcamp currently. You could
Okay,
buy it there.
yeah, Bandcamp as well. And just if you are listening, you don't know Bandcamp, I forget what the percentage is, but I know the artist gets close to about 85, 83%, something like
Yeah,
that, of
83.
of the sales. So that's probably where you can help the artist benefit the most and continue to put out quality projects like that. So make sure you go to BLAQ CHIDORI's Bandcamp and y'all can check that out there, man. So you know, next question I got as I'm looking at the track list, and we spoke on it a little bit beforehand. A lot of variation, a lot of beat switches. I'm a sucker for that on here, and then a lot of like quick little one liners. Well, not one liners, but just like one verse out. You know what I mean? So, were you guys trying to approach it just to kind of keep it in balance, like a person never know what they're about to get in each track as you sequenced it? What was like the goal with that? Just the differences in how you guys weaved in and out of different pockets on the project.
I would say that the sequencing, what's interesting about it is we each had two ideas about what it was supposed to be originally. Like I had my own track list and he had his own track list. And then we got together and we spoke about it. And then the track list that came out was an amalgamation of the two as well. We thought it sounded the best. And for me, I can't speak on BLAQ's behalf, but for me, I think part of the reason why the songs are like that, like what I was going for sonically with just the quick verses, some of the shorter songs was almost like a punk album or a metal album. So like I listen to all genres, I listen to everything, and it kind of gave me that same vibe to certain albums from the 80s where they're quick, they're short, and they hit you in 35 minutes. And I thought that aspect and that kind of mindset, it fit both sonically as well as with the title At Your Neck. That's really what this is. It's 30 minutes, it's short, it's sweet, and it's a lot of different sounds. And it has that kind of aggressive, kind of that punk, almost just that kind of rebel feeling to it, if that makes sense. So that was kind of for me with the shorter songs, the quick verses, the beat changes, the interludes at the end. That was where I was coming from with it, was kind of that aspect. And then, obviously being influenced by like Rock Marcy, Wu-Tang, again, Alchemist, all that type of stuff.
Yeah, I definitely could hear the influence now that you talk about it, man. So BLAQ with all these different titles on here. What are some the feedback that you're receiving from everybody in terms of what are people gravitating to off the project so far?
But well first, I want to briefly touch over, the prior question,
For sure.
with songs like that, because how Bardo and I curated it. A lot of those beats was beats that he was just kind of holding on to because he didn't feel like anyone was truly worthy of it till he met myself, and like I said, allowing our chemistry, our energy together, and allowing even the sonics and the nuances of the instrumentals I was hearing to kind of lead me where it was leading me. It's kind of ironic that he mentions punk influences, because punk rock is, I'd say it's in my top three genres over hip hop, because I love so many other genres and whatnot. Punk, I, I fucking love punk. You know what I'm saying? I love punk. You know what I'm saying? And we did have a lot of influences like Alchemist and Rock Marcy. Wu Tang was a heavy influence, was a very heavy influence between him and I when working on this album here. Even when I was doing my rollout for this album, I was mentioning that this album to me is kind of like we made our own type of, like, only built for Cuban links, the type of experience that it provides. It's not too short, not too long, it's just right. And then each song hits in ways to where it's transitioning in areas it needs to transition to, as well as it's not dragging on anywhere. Having those shorter songs like that also provides a lot of great replay value. There were some songs that originally were shorter than others, but Bardo was like, hey, I think some of these should be extended, kind of like Tungsten Needle or Pimpin, if you just add a second verse on here, just so that way it's not so abrupt, because we want to have some songs that's short, but we don't want to have the album too abrupt. We want to hit a nice little length and mark pause. You know what I'm saying? But as far as the reception is beautiful. I remember Bardo and I, we were talking, and during our think tank we had some projections about which songs some people might gravitate to. I remember Bartle was saying he feels the more boom bappy ones are definitely gonna hit the fans the most, and I was like, I for sure could see that. I for sure could see, the more sing-songy joints, like maybe Pimpin, or even Words Cut Deep, might really hit the fans for sure, and thus far both of us were correct. Amongst the higher level connoisseurs and even artists themselves, they gravitated towards Pimpin because of the heavy lyricism as well as the song structure. The fans, they gravitated more towards Spreewell because it's you got three titans on the track going over a very solid and consistent beat, very easy to follow along with. It's very digestible. It's basketball, which is a
Reference it,
very,
right?
yeah, it's a very dominant topic. But then Words Cut Deep. That song being a very nostalgic homage. That one hit both the fans and the connoisseurs because they're looking at the song structure,
In terms
the
of the hook,
silence of it.
yeah, the hook
Right,
on that
exactly.
one, yeah. So
Exactly.
yeah, and
So
that's one thing that you've been doing well, ever since the Ice Spice joint. You know
yeah,
what I
like
mean? In
that's
terms
another
of
Bardo joint right there. That's another
yeah,
Bardo
so
joint.
in terms of the
Yeah,
hook, you mentioned Patty. I talked to him about just the hook making bridge chorus. That stuff is highly important. Even if I'm not sure if you classify your music as boom bap, but it has that heavy feel of that. And then there's some drumless in here a little bit. You know what I mean? So
right,
with that, man, you still should have some hooks, you know what I mean? Because when you start to do these shows and you get on those stages, man, it's a hard follow when it's just straight raps all the
right,
way through.
right,
Fans want to sing with you, fans want to rock
right.
with
They want to
you.
move. They right. They want something that keeps them sonically in tune. you know. So being able to have songs like that, even the one verse offshoots and whatnot, those are great because let's say I am doing a set on stage, those is joints I could throw in there in between the
Right.
sing song joints. So
Right.
I throw the one verse joints in between the sing song joints. That's just perfect because now they got joints where I'm not just barring them off and it's dragging along, and I got the sing song joints that they can sing along too, you know. So
Right, right. Yeah. Like I said, man, the like I said, since Ice Spice and the hooks on here have been are really good. I listened to it for my first time during the Thanksgiving weekend when I was riding to South Carolina. So I had a nice I'm in VA as well. So I had a nice little drive to listen to it about 2 times on the way there, 2 times back. And I was like, yo, this is y'all really did y'all thing. Like when you're done with it, you're right. It coming right back on isn't nothing's wrong with that. Like you
right,
welcome it, you know what I mean? So
right.
so I think you guys did a phenomenal job. Before I let you guys go, I want you to talk a little bit about some of the features and why did you choose these guys? Because I know you've worked with JR, Patty a lot of times. I'm unruly, of course, so familiar with seeing his name and stuff like that. But Raz Fresco, if I'm saying his name correctly, and Jay Hurd, I'm aware of Jay Hurd through Greenery. So, what made you
Yeah.
choose this particular cast of characters to help you out on this project?
But I kind of want Bardo to also speak on this because some of those features was curated by him. Some of them was curated by me. There was originally because we had so many different versions of this album because we worked on it for such a long time. There was some features that was going to be on there, like RTC Profit was one that was going to be on there. uh Sincerely Yours was supposed to be on there. We had another track that Unruly was supposed to be on. um, you know, Different things of that nature. Originally, Patty wasn't even on Spreewell. It was just me and JR. Patty was kind of a more late addition, but I'll let Bardo talk about that because that was actually his idea for that. But Gillette, I for sure that type of Griselda vibe was what I got from that beat, and I was just like, yo, Unruly's cadence is just so perfect because Unruly, he kind of reminds me of Rome Streets a little bit. When he was first really starting his cadence, it really reminded me of a Rome. So I was like, yo, a track like this, it would just be perfect if we had a nigga like that on there, and then he's another young, hungry artist. And then Jay Hur, I know him as Elefinity. When him and I was working together, this is around the times of the early stages of the cipher space and whatnot, when it was kind of at its peak. um he was someone that I already wanted to work with, and he wanted to work with me. And so it just so happened, Bardo, he sent me that beat, and I was like, yo, this beat right here is so light, it's so beautiful, it just seems heartfelt, it seems conscientious. It to me, this doesn't seem like some shit to bar a nigga up. This seems like some shit to get poetic with. And Elefinity is someone who would like to pride themselves on, having a very deep mind and pen. So I was like, yo, you would be perfect to this. Like, and I just sent him the shit first. I didn't even write to it yet. I was like, yo, you do your thing. Let me see what you got type shit. And he sent that back. And I followed along with it. And I was like, yo, this right here, yeah, this is definitely gonna be one of those ones that stand out in comparison to the rest of the tracks on this album. Cause the album, it goes very dark, very gritty, very grimy, and then you got, certain more lighthearted ones and shit like that, like a barbershop talk or a new sleeve, or a pimpin' even, you know what I'm saying? Shit like that.
Yeah. So yeah,
And then for
Bardo,
the other,
man. Go ahead.
so yeah, for some of the other features, like Raz Fresco, another Canadian artist. I'm a big fan of him, and I just thought with that track, like I had been listening to him a lot at that time, and that's kind of like how I work. Like I listen to a lot of artists while I'm making the music that I make, and then I kind of picture that person on it. So with that beat, I kind of just thought that he would flow on it perfectly. reached out to him, kind of wanted to build that Canadian connection with him. He's on the other side of the country from me, and it just, again, worked out perfectly. He blessed us with an amazing verse. And with the Spreewell joint, it's really interesting because that one actually started off. It was just BLAQ, and then I had suggested, I was like, well, let's get a feature. And he was the one who was like, well, what do you think about JR? And what's funny about the JR feature is that, I was like, yes, I love JR. Let's get him on there. I think he'll do a good job. But I actually sent JR that beat not long before, but he I was a little busy, didn't have a chance to work on it and all that kind of stuff. And then I got it to BLAQ, and then he fit it perfectly. And then he suggested JR, and it was almost like a weird puzzle piece that just kind of fit perfectly. And then once I heard that first demo with the two of them, I instantly thought of Triumph by Wu-Tang. And just that kind of, when I was listening to it, I'm like, this kind of gives me that vibe, this kind of posse vibe where you're just going. There's no hook, there's no nothing. It's just the same repetitive, hard-hitting track, hard-hitting drums, and you guys are just spitting bars for verses and verses. And that's why I kind of came up with the idea. I was like, well, why don't we do another verse and let's get Patty on there and make this longer. And then that's kind of how like the three-headed monster came about on that song. And what's dope about that song, in my opinion, is because it's structured like that, it's very open, both the beat and with what the references are, the lyrics and the themes. You could easily remix that song and put 3 more people on there and extend it to 6 minutes. You know what I mean? Have a 5-6 minute street remix, a G mix, what they used to call them back in the day. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the vibe I got from that song. So that was kind of how that one came together. And it was just like this weird synchronicity where he would suggest certain things that just fit. There would be like thoughts in my head that I couldn't articulate, and then he would be able to give me those words, and vice versa. And again, it just, everything came together so fluently with all aspects.
All right. Dope, man. So again, fellas, I want to congratulate y'all on a very solid body of work, man. This project is great from top to bottom. There's nothing I can say about it. Bardo, you're nice at what you do. BLAQ, you're getting way better at what you do. You know what I mean? I was not surprised, but I all I can say is that, like, man, you did is you took constructive criticism, man. Like I said earlier, and you really got after it, and that's all I can ask for as a fan of hip hop, as a fan of you guys. So definitely rock with y'all on this project as well, man. So. Any last words before we get out of here? As far as where they can find you guys. Again, I want people to know that again. So, throw it at the people in terms of where they can find your music and find you next.
You can follow me on Twitter at DA BLAQ with CK. Add the Q as well, after CK after the Q, Chidori, and then God MC BLAQ CHIDORI on Instagram, BLAQ CHIDORI on all platforms, including YouTube. We're gonna have the music video coming out. We're gonna have some other visuals coming out pretty soon. You can expect more from this album as well. We're not done with it yet. We just kind of letting the fans and listeners and supporters kind of sit with it, a little more. You know what I'm saying? With this album, we really wanted to, go hard and do it big, balls. You know what I'm saying? So that was very important. And, I felt like us taking such a meticulous approach paid off so well. And I couldn't be more proud of the album, at your neck,
All right, Bardo.
Yeah, I took the words out of my mouth, said it perfectly. Super proud of this album. You can find me at Barto_100 on Twitter, Barto100 on Instagram, Barto100 on all streaming platforms, Bandcamp. And yeah, just I appreciate everyone that's been taking the time to listen, tweet or Instagram, their feedback on it, DM either one of us. The support really does mean everything. Like, as an independent artist, just seeing people enjoy the music is huge. And I want to thank you too for having me on this platform, having us on this platform. It really does mean a lot, and it shines a light on what we're doing as well.
Sure. No doubt, man. Y'all welcome back anytime. Bardo, if you got something with somebody else, more than welcome to hit me up, and we can schedule a time or whatever you want to do. BLAQ, same as well, man. So if y'all need anything from me, pod wise or on the other side of things, feel free to holler, man. So at this point,
I've been different.
Yo, Green, we got one, homie.
Greenery.
Time to take the cloak off, family is the bad guy. Woke up aggravated on my bad side. Separate me from them, I am the franchise. Close circle, damn right, I I am anti, coming back for what's old to me. Been an OG, nigga, never was a crash dummy. Cash flow, nigga.